Good morning, Year 4. I hope you're all well. Welcome to today's reading session. Today's session is going to be all about making inferences from a text. And to be successful in this lesson, you will be able to read between the lines of a text. You'll be able to make connections and draw conclusions about what the text means and what it's trying to convey. You'll be able to draw inferences such as inferring characters' feelings, thoughts and motives, and you'll be able to justify these inferences using evidence directly from the text. Now, thinking about what you read yesterday, can you remember and answer the following 4 questions, please? So pause the video now and answer these 4 questions on your piece of paper, please. Off you go. Okay, so number 1, what did Fred use to mark where they were on the map? Well, we know he got some of his own blood and used that to mark where they currently were on the map, didn't he? Number 2, why was Con proud of herself after she got back to the forest floor? What had she just done? That's right, she'd just climbed the tree with Fred to get the honey from the beehive. So she was proud of herself because she's never climbed a tree in her life. And she was really, really brave, wasn't she? So she was really quite proud of herself for that. Number 3, why was it strange that the tobacco pouch was red? What colour are they normally? That's right, they're normally brown, aren't they? So why did Lila think the pouch was left near the bees? That's right, because bees can't see the colour red, can they? So they wouldn't think anything of it. And also, to everyone else, all the other animals in the rainforest, the colour red detects what? Poison. It suggests that it's poisonous, so no other animals were going to go after this pouch. So then Lila started thinking that maybe someone had intentionally, on purpose, left the pouch near the bees because they were going to come back for it. But it's too late and I wonder if they will go back for it. Okay, so one of our words today is this word pouring, and it comes from the quote from page 140 where it says, Lila and Con were already awake, poring over the map. Now, this doesn't mean where you get a liquid like a drink and pour it over something. This word pouring is a verb as well. It's a doing word and it's 2 syllables, pouring. And it means where someone is absorbed in reading or studying something, such as a map. And we know in our book, Lila and Con could have been poring over the map because they were really absorbed in reading it. They really wanted to read more about it. We could use this word in the sentence, I spent hours poring over cookery books. So they spent hours studying cookery books, scanning cookery books, examining cookery books. And these are some of our synonyms that go with this word poring. So it's all to do with being really interested and absorbed in reading or studying something. However, some antonyms for this word pouring, some opposite words, if you aren't poring over something, you might be just ignoring it or disregarding it or forgetting about it. But Lila and Con definitely were not ignoring the map because they were poring over the map. They were really absorbed in it. Okay. And our second word today is this word contorted. Now it's in the book from page 143 and it says Con's face was contorted beyond recognition. So this word recognition meaning recognizing. So her face was contorted beyond recognition. What do you think that word contorted means? Well, it's an adjective. It's used to describe something. So Con's face is being described in a certain way. And it's got 3 syllables. Contorted. And this word contorted means where something is twisted or bent out of the usual shape. So her face, a bit like the word distorted, but contorted. Her face was really twisted and bent for some reason which we do not know yet. And we could use this in another sentence by saying his body contorted into the new form. So we could say it twisted into the new form. It screwed up into the new form. It distorted into the new form. It misshaped into the new form. And these are also some of our synonyms for this word contorted. And if something isn't contorted, an antonym that we could use is even or level or shaped. All of these words suggesting that something is intact, it is okay, the shape is fine, but contorted meaning it's not. And we can use this picture here to show you that something is contorted because it's twisted. It's not in the right shape to be what it is meant to be. Okay, so we're going to continue reading now, and we are starting a new chapter today. So the chapter is called Con. So it could be suggesting that this chapter is all about Con. And we're going to find out a bit today, but also a bit tomorrow. The next day was Wednesday. Wednesday at school began with double geography. The most exciting thing that happened on Wednesday was biology with old Mr. Martin, who was liable to fart at unexpected intervals, so it made them laugh a lot. This Wednesday, Fred woke to a rainforest thunderstorm and rain dripping through the roof of a den into his ear. So he's really comparing what a normal Wednesday would be like compared to what this Wednesday's like. They're very, very different, and he shouldn't be in the rainforest. He should actually be at school in double geography. And that means where there's 2 geography lessons, one after the other. Would you like that? Maybe. Lila and Con were already awake, poring over the map, their heads almost touching because they were that engrossed in the map, they were that interested. Max was snoring in a rain puddle, mud in his fringe and eyebrows. Bacca's fur was soaked, slicked down against his bones. He looked as furious as it is possible for a sloth to look. Lila laid her thumb on the X on the map. "It's got to be much closer than Manaus," she said, as she turned and saw Fred was awake. So she's really looking at this map thinking, where is this X? Surely if it's on the map, it must be closer than Manaus is. "Fred, do you think the raft could get us there?" He moved to look, feeling his muscles creak under his skin. Both girls were shivering. It wasn't cold, but the damp of the day had got into their skin. "We'd have to get through all of those weeds here," he said. "And there's that sign there." "The thing that looks like a snake?" "Exactly." He looked out towards the river and the filing cabinet grey sky. "But, yes, I'd say we could." "But you don't think we should?" asked Con. I want you to think, what does that sentence tell you about whether or not Con wanted to go? It was, very clearly, a question that begged the answer no. "We saw from the tree, it was miles." "We can't stay here forever," said Fred. He had never wanted anything as much as he wanted to launch the raft down the river to find the X. He needed to know what it was like to be an explorer. There was another kind of hunger in his gut that had nothing to do with food. It was terror and possibility, fused together with hope. "You've got to be joking." Con looked from Lila to Fred. "But we have a map," said Lila softly. "We would actually know where we're going this time." So they're all really, really excited to try and find this X, but Con is not really having it. "But you don't know what's at the end of it." Con's skin was white and red in patches. "But it's got to be something, or there wouldn't be a map," said Fred. "But what if the X is supposed to mean, never go here because there are things that will come for you in the dark?" "But if the other option is to stay here, I thought you'd want to leave," said Fred. "I do want to leave. I hate it here," she spat. "I hate the mosquitoes and the ants and the bites and the endless, endless hunger all the time. But I don't want to follow a map to nowhere. I just want to go home." Max jerked awake and began to whine, tugging at Lila's sleeve, and she shook him off. He was crying again. "I want to go home too," said Lila. Her eyebrows were a tight, angry line across her forehead. "But it's no worse for you than anyone else." So she's getting quite frustrated at Con because Con's really thinking that she's the only person that exists at the moment, and she's definitely not. "Yes, it is." Con's face was contorted beyond recognition. "You don't understand. It's easier for you because you're used to it. You're from here." Lila's eyes widened. "I live in a city." Her voice was thin with shock. "We have a dining room with silver candlesticks. I do not live in the jungle." "But you're not feeling sick all the time." Con's jaw was clenched. "I wake up every morning feeling like I'm going to vomit. She thumped the wet ground, and flecks of mud sprang up around her fist. But so do I. I hate it so much here I can't breathe. Do you think any of us like it? But you're not alone, Con burst out. You've got Max. Exactly. Exactly. And he cries all the time, and if he dies, it'll be my fault. Max heard and let out a roar. Sobs shook his whole body. Fred caught his wrist and held it to stop him from running. So Max had heard this argument and he'd heard what Lila had said. Think about how he might be feeling. At least you know if you die, there'll be someone who's bothered to care, Con yelled over the noise. It's not my fault if nobody cares about you, spat Lila. You don't know. Stop it, shouted Max. He ran at the two girls and kicked out both of them, his shoes smacking mud against their skin. Stop it, right now! Lila's mouth shut with a snap. She turned to her brother and allowed him to climb into her arms. She rubbed his back, her eyes utterly exhausted. Don't cry. It just makes it worse. So it's been quite an intense few pages that we've read there. Lila and Con went face to face, head to head, got a really heated argument there, and it wasn't very pleasant to think about, was it? Now, I am going to do a part 2 of this video and we're going to look at some examples of the questions that you are going to be looking at today. So make sure that you go over to part 2 now so that you can see the rest of the lesson and that you know what your task is for today. Thank you very much.